Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Meaningful People podcast. I hope you had a beautiful Yontif. Nachi Gordon here, and we recorded part 2 of a day in October. We just experienced Simchas Torah, and a year ago is the yahrzeit of so many neshamas. And we sat down for this episode with 3 very special people. One of them, Avi Yudkowski, a member of the first response, the medical team, in and out of Gaza, in and out of those areas, saving lives. The fact that he is here today alive is unbelievable, and he shares his journey. Elchanan Danino, who of course lost his son, Avi Danino. The Levaya watched around the world, the pain and the suffering that family went through. He spoke with such heart, and he laid his soul on the table for this episode. And Elkanah Cohen, Kuno, as they call him, someone who has written a book of his time in Gaza. He's written a journal, and it's been published and seen by well over 20,000 people already. This episode touches so many different parts of this conflict, of this war, and each and every guest really put something amazing for all of us to hear and see. So thank you to our guest. Thank you to Isaac Newman for sponsoring this episode. L'zichron nishmas, his mother, Chama Paramalkalea, Bas Arya Lib. I want to mention this episode is sponsored by my friends at Kollel Chabad. You know, it's something I've been doing throughout Tishrei, especially. Download the Pushka app right now. Head to pushka.cc/meaningful. You download the Pushka app. And so many times, the guy comes around in shul, shaking that tzedakah box, and I don't have any cash on me. I take out the phone, go to the Pushka app, $2, $3. I'm getting to my car, going to a big meeting, $2, $3. I'm about to go ahead and get on stage and speak somewhere, $20. You know, like, you can go ahead right in your pocket. There is a Pushka, and it is going to Kollel Chabad, who is feeding thousands, tens of thousands of families, of elderly, of the needy in Eretz Yisrael. So go ahead and support Kollel Chabad today. And this episode is also sponsored by my friends at Tevito, Tevito.com. Okay, your kids want to be watching content that you trust, and you want them to be watching content that you trust. The world is heading in such a strange direction. You know, my friend Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire, they created their own kids content, right? It's called like a Banky or something, because you can't trust what's being shown on the legacy networks anymore. It's not safe, the ideology that they're pushing. So here comes Tevito, and they say, we're going to create amazing Jewish content for your kids. Guys, let's be responsible. Let's make sure you have young kids, even if they're a little bit older. Tevito.com has content that you can trust and content that you can feel good about them watching. Trust me. So go ahead to Tevito.com today. Use promo code MM10 for 10% off your subscription. You're going to love the content up there. Every week, new stuff being uploaded, but there's a library of thousands and thousands of videos. Go to Tevito.com today and check it out for yourself.
You are listening to the Meaningful People podcast.
The podcast featuring our nation's most impactful, influential,
and meaningful people. I am joined by Avi Yudkowski, and the purpose for our recording today is obviously, you know, it's October 7th, a year later, and obviously Simchas Torah is the day, October 7th is the day, so we're going to just reflect a little bit on this day. Tell me a little bit, Avi, I guess, how that day in October started for you.
So thank you for having me, first of all. October 7th, I don't know if you know, but I'm a DJ. I'm trying to make people happy in Israel. I go to a few weddings every month, and that was Sukkot for me. Basically, the whole week before, I was dancing and trying to make people happy, working, having fun. Simchas Torah, 7 or 8 of my really good friends came to me for Simchat Torah, for Shabbos. Friday night, we went to shul. We were dancing with the Sefer Torah. We came back home. We had our Shabbos meal. We played poker till 4 o'clock in the morning. We had a lot of fun. And I went to sleep around 4 o'clock. And my brother, who's in the army, got a call at 7 a.m. from his commander and told him that something's going on. So he right away came to my room, and he told me, I volunteer for Hatzalah for almost 4 years by now. And I volunteer also in the dispatch center. So he told me, wake up, it could be they're going to need you over there, because I live right near Jerusalem, and every time there's something big around, they need people that work or volunteer there to come from close by. So they asked me to, so I woke up, I washed my face, and I called the dispatch center. I asked them if they need help. And my friend answered me, and he told me, if you could come, but if you could go down south, go there, because they need you there more. So that's the second that I understood that it's really something bigger than every time. Because usually you don't tell people from an hour and a half away to go there.
Right.
Even when it's something big. So that's the second I understood it's really big.
So you're being told ultimately what you don't know at that time. It sounds like you're being told to go into an active war zone.
The truth is that they told us to get to, there's this very big section. It's called Tzomet Cheletz. It's a section a little bit before Sderot, on Route 232, connects with 34. The dispatch told us all the ambulances from all around Israel that drove down south, he told everyone to just wait there, because they didn't know if it's safe after that point. So he told everyone to just wait there and not go inside. When we got there, we didn't exactly listen to the dispatch center. We just there was a police car that was not letting anyone who's not army or police go through that. They were just standing there, and they just didn't let anyone go through. And when we got there, we just drove right past them. We didn't even ask them if we're allowed or not allowed to. That's what we went for.
Yeah, what was the thought behind that?
There was no thought. It could be if we were going to be thinking, maybe we weren't going to do it. But I think that was the big nace out of this whole day, that we weren't thinking. We really went into this really war zone. At that point, I had no idea where I'm going to. I think till today, I don't even understand where I went through and how I'm sitting here right now. Yeah. A lot of times when I go to tell these stories to people, every time people tell me, like, you're crazy, like, where were you? And every time I understand a little more how big of a nace it is that I'm still here.
So tell me,
crazy.
I guess, a little bit about that story, about you going through that area. What did you see? What did you experience?
So right after we passed that police car, we continued a few more minutes. And after a few minutes, we started to see just cars in the middle of the street. In each car, there's between 1 to 5 bodies. The first decision we made that day is, no matter what, we're not taking any bodies, because we knew we need the ambulance for people that we couldn't save. And when we were, even before Sderot, this Hummer, army, military, IDF car stops right near us, and he takes out this 22-year-old girl, and they scream to us, bring the stretcher, bring the stretcher. We take it out, and we pick her up, and we start driving back towards Tzomet Cheletz. That over there's more ambulances waiting for us. When we were on the way, we were driving on 100 miles per hour, and a car came faster than us, just caught us in the street and stood right in front of us. He blocked us from driving, and we said, what's the point? What do you need? She said, take out the stretcher. We have someone injured in here. And they took out another 20-year-old girl that was injured. The girl that was on the stretcher, we put on the chair. And the second girl, we put on the stretcher because she was shot in both of her legs. And we took them both to Tzomet Cheletz. And over there, we gave them to helicopters and other ambulances that were waiting there. And we turned around and drove right back in. Through the whole day, we went in and out a lot of times. Every single time we went in and out, in every single ambulance, there's room for one injured person, and every single time we took between 2 to 8.
Wow.
Sometimes 5 or 6 of them were just standing because they just needed to get out of where they were. And we were their only hope to get out of there. And we just every one of these people have a crazy story behind them. Then today we're going to meet some of them. Some of them are still in the hospital. Some of them are back home. And we hear their stories, and I don't. After I hear their stories, I don't understand why people tell me a hero, but it's people who went through crazy stuff that it's.
I mean, if you guys didn't listen, if you guys ultimately listened to your instructions to just stay put, you probably wouldn't have gotten to these people. And I guess that's the reality.
Of course, right?
Throughout this day, did you come in contact with any terrorists, any enemy fire, or did you see any of that happening?
Yeah, terrorists. We saw a lot of dead terrorists. Live ones we didn't see in front of our face, but a few times they were shooting towards us. Baruch Hashem, I could say that we didn't get hit. Even the ambulance doesn't have one bullet. And there's a joke that I always tell the crew that was with me, Avi and Emmanuel. I always tell them that there's a big chance that one day we're going to find a video that we're going to see. There's a terrorist trying to shoot towards us in RPG and it flies backwards. That's what we felt. We really felt that that Hashem was with us this whole day. It's you can't understand the places that we were. I'll tell you one small story. Just that I remember that at night, right when Shabbos was over, there was one time through the whole day that we drove to the hospital. We had 3 patients in the hospital, in the ambulance, and we didn't have time to stop by Tzomet Cheretz to give them to other ambulances. So we decided we're just going to drive with them straight to the hospital. And that's what we did. When we got to the hospital, there was doctors waiting outside. We're still driving and the doors open. We give them all these 3 patients. And we close the ambulance. I'm in the back of the ambulance starting to clean up all the blood and back. And someone knocks on the window, and this guy, his name doesn't matter. He's in a very special Israeli unit. He knocks on the window, and he said that he was hit in his hand 3 hours ago. And they took him to the hospital, and he was treated, and he really wants to get back to his unit, but he doesn't know how. So he told him, hop on. So we got on the ambulance and we started driving towards his unit. They were in Barry at that point. We started driving, and a few minutes after we get back to the warzone, all of a sudden he opens the window. He puts his M16 out the window. He puts on his helmet and he looks in he's ready with the gun like there's a terrorist a few meters away from him. So I look at Emmanuel and we laugh at him for a second, and I tell Avi look at this guy, we're driving here the whole day already. It was when Shabbos was over, I remember, because I really, really wanted to smoke a cigarette at that point, so I was looking at the clock. And when we were on the way with him, so all of a sudden he took the gun out the window, and Avi told him listen, relax, this road is clean, there's no terrorist here, we're driving here the whole day already. So he looks at them and he says, I was shot here 3 hours ago. You see the street? Exactly like this. You see this tree? Exactly past where we're driving? Out of here, terrorists came towards me 3 hours ago when I was shot. So all of a sudden we understood that we're driving there this whole day. There was another road that we were driving the whole day, and we were with a soldier that was injured, and he told we're driving really slow because we're driving between bodies on the street, basically. And all of a sudden the soldier screams from in back. He says, drive faster. So he says, why? So he says, drive over 60 miles per hour because there's much less chances that the RPG can hit you if you're driving faster. And that's, I think, a second that we understood where we really are, because we were driving there the whole day, and that's seconds that you can't forget. That all of a sudden you realize where you really are. It's
like Hashem was literally have this bubble around you guys that was protecting you the whole day.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean, so how long were you like working straight in these areas? And the moment that you left, I guess the moment you were able to stop for a second, did it hit you the gravity of what transpired? I mean, obviously people outside of it, they're seeing the news, they're seeing the numbers, but you're in it, so it might be a little more difficult to understand that.
I think through this whole day, the amount of stories and it's just amazing to be there and to be really part of it, to feel really part of this crazy day that we went through. I think also today I feel like I go a lot to speak for a lot of groups through over the whole world, and to see the impact it does on people, it just, I can't sit back and not do nothing, because I sometimes I speak to people and I see that till after my speech they didn't understand what we really went through.
Right. At what point did you understand what you went through? What was it on October 7th? You understood, what exactly you were dealing with, or was it after there was a moment where you were able to sort of, it hit you?
So the truth is, after, when we were on the way with the soldier towards Be'eri, all of a sudden he got a phone call, and his commander told him that they got a call from Sderot and they need his team by the police station. There's a lot of fire there going on and they need them. So he asked us if we could take him to the Sderot police station because his team is on the way there. They'll be there in a few minutes. He said, of course. We turned around and we took him to the Sderot police station. When we got there, we went into the small driveway. His commander told us turn off the lights, that because there was terrorists that were still, every few seconds they were shooting out the police station windows towards us, basically, and they were with a jeep there and they were shooting towards the police station, and the terrorists were shooting towards us. We were standing there for a few minutes, and then Shabbos was over, so we turned off the ambulance and we were standing on one side of the ambulance, not to get shot or not to get hit from anything. And we turn on the first, we light our cigarettes. We're trying to relax. And all of a sudden I tell Avi and Emmanuel, like, hey, it's Simchas Torah today. We didn't eat, we didn't have Kiddush, we didn't daven, we didn't do akafos. And it's the first time I think we had this really few seconds to like really relax. When I say that, you need to really understand that the other side of the ambulance, there's shooting going on. The shooting don't stop. We stop for a few seconds, but the shooting does not. At that point, there's rockets flying on top of our heads. I remember there was a fire truck that came with a ladder, and he was putting some soldiers on the roof to go in from the roof to kill a terrorist. And I think that was a moment that we understood really what we went through that day. But I think that I really, really don't understand what we went through till today.
Oh,
and you asked me before, so about the humor, about laughing 1 second that day. There was 2 points that I smiled at that day. It's hard to smile at that day, but there was 2 seconds that made me laugh. One of them, we took a 20-year-old soldier. His name is Daniel. He was hit from a grenade. He was full of cuts. His stomach, his back, his hands, his feet. We put him in the ambulance and we start taking him out towards Somet Cheletz, towards a helicopter that was waiting for us. I was stopping his bleeding and Emmanuel wanted to give him IV. So Emmanuel, we were driving and we're turning between bodies the whole time, so it was really hard. So the first try, he didn't succeed. So I got him ready the IV kit, and he wanted to do it. So I told him, okay, try the other hand. So he's standing on top of this Daniel with his needle on top of him, trying to find a comfortable way to stand while he's doing it. And it wasn't really easy. So he asked Avi and how long we're going to get to Tzomet Cheletz. So Avi told him 1 minute. So he was standing on top of this patient and thinking for a second, thinking, should I try again or should I just let the paramedic do it in 1 minute? And while he's thinking for a second, this Daniel looks at him and he says, man, why are you sweating? I'm the one who's injured. And that's the second I looked at Emmanuel and we laughed. We smiled at each other. We saw the strength and the koach of Am Yisrael. It's not someone who's badly injured and he looks to see the funny part of everything. I think that's our nation. That's who we are.
Yeah, I mean, I guess speak to that a little bit. The resilience of the Jewish people that you witnessed that day. Maybe the patients that you were transporting or just throughout the day and even days after, what's that like? What did you guys experience?
I think there was another amazing story that every time I say it, I remember it and I don't even understand how he did it. This time I told you we were driving to the hospital with 3 patients. We were with 3 patients by the entrance to Kfar Aza. This jeep a tank came to us and gave us these 3 patients. We put them in the ambulance. One was shot on his foot. We just put him near the driver. We didn't even ask him his name. Because the other 2, one of them was shot in his face and one of them was hit from an RPG in his leg. The guy that was hit from an RPG was laying down on the stretcher and was shot in his face. He was sitting on the chair. He was conscious. He was very pale, losing a lot of blood. I was trying to stop his bleeding, but it was really hard because every time I was stopping his bleeding, it was really hard for him to breathe. And Emmanuel was taking care of the other soldier that was laying down on the stretcher. And I told Emmanuel, listen, he's becoming pale and pale. Every second we have to give him IV before we get to the hospital. So he said, okay, let's give him IV. I got, again, the kit ready, and he was getting ready to give him IV, and he was trying to find a comfortable way to stand, because after all, there's room for 1, and we're 5 people in the back. So he was trying to find the comfortable way to sit, stand, to give him IV, and all of a sudden, the guy on the stretcher is like, you want him to lay down and I should sit? So we looked at him like, how are you even able to talk, And he just looks at us like, why are you looking at me that way? And he says, in these words, he said, Gever, ani lo yeled, ani yoda ma ani oseh. It's like, man, I'm not a small kid. I know what I'm doing. He just opens his seatbelt, stands up on 1 foot, picks his friend up, puts him on the stretcher, and sits down on the chair. I think that this is a story that's not going to happen in a different nation. It's just not. Someone that's badly injured and needs to get to the hospital, and every second counts. And all of a sudden he sees his friend that needs help, his friend that he didn't even know probably an hour or 2 ago. So he gets this kochot from the beginning, and he's able to really stand on 1 foot and just pick his friend up. And it's crazy. This is stuff that I think now you could understand why I said that they're the heroes and not me.
Well, you're all heroes. It's really unbelievable. Avi, now it's a year later, believe it or not, and I imagine it probably doesn't feel that way. But a year has passed since that crazy, crazy day. Just hearing that sentence, what does that make you feel?
It's crazy. It's really, I can't even process this whole year went past so fast. It brings me back to that hard day we went through. I think that every single person who was there that day till today, he goes to sleep with his story and he wakes up in the morning with his story. With these pictures that he saw that day and stuff that he saw. It's not easy, but I know that Hashem gave me kochos to be there and do what I did. So that way, He's also giving me the kochos to continue back. And I know that I'm here today, and I have a job to do here. So between the weddings I do, the 5-6 weddings I do every month, I try to say the story as much as I can. I think it's very important. Coming November to America.
Nice.
It's December going to London. Going all over. I think it's really important to tell, to share it over. I think it's not only my story. I think that it's everyone's story.
What's something for people watching all over the world, maybe America as well, specifically, but what's something that you want the Jewish world or the world at large even to know about the first responders on October 7th?
I'm not gonna say something good about me. I'm not the right person to ask that question. But I think every single person that was there left his house without knowing where he's going to, and a lot of them really didn't come back home. And I think that maybe this is a good opportunity to say thank you to Hatzalah that gives us 7,000 volunteers in the whole Israel, equipment and just everything we need to go and help other people, and continue with us after. It didn't only finish there. From October 7th, there's a lot of people that were there and are going to get help for. They should be able to sleep at night, basically. And I think it's an amazing organization. I think it's a good opportunity to say thank you to them, really.
Yeah, I mean that's a big piece of it. I yesterday had the opportunity to sit down with Yossi Lando from Zaka, and we spoke about this piece as well. You know, sort of the PTSD. What he said is sort of like the silent war that's going on in Israel now. Is the people who saw what they saw on that day, right, between the suicide rate and the people who are just not functioning. It's something that people don't really know about, and they're not understanding how bad it is. What for you, I guess, mentally and what have you done or what do you do in order to sort of go on?
Like I told you, I really feel like Hashem is taking care of us also today. I think that I'm telling from my side, I don't know about other people, but I think that if I wasn't going to believe in Hashem, I was going to jump out the window Sunday morning. It's not easy to see what you see. I volunteer for almost 4 years by now. Of course, this was something different. The 3 years by then I was volunteering. I saw a lot of stuff. I was in Meron. I did CPR on my friends' babies on the Shabbos table near the Chalas. It's pictures that you can't forget. It's part of who we are. And I think that we have the schus to really do what we're good at. I think that every single person every single person, Hashem gave him something else to be good at. And I think that part of being a volunteer and a first responder is also having the koach to continue and to keep doing what you're doing. The truth is that till October 7th, I never cried after something I saw. And I was on really hard calls. But I felt really that I know how to separate the calls to my life. Sometimes I had a small feeling like maybe my heart is made out of rock. But on the other hand, I'm saying thank you Hashem that it's really this way, and it's not different. The truth is that after October 7th, I also didn't cry, and I felt like I'm good. Around 3 weeks after October 7th, I was driving down south to a base to the IDF base to go make some soldiers happy. I was alone in my car with all my DJ equipment. And I was driving down south towards this base. We did a mangal for them, and we were making supper and music to try to help them a little bit, to make them a little happy before they're going into Gaza to fight. And when I was on the way there, I was listening to music. I was alone in my car driving. And all of a sudden I was driving on one of these roads that I was on October 7th. And in a second, everything came back. I stopped on the side and I was crying like a baby for like an hour. I feel that helped me so much. I think that second helped so many so much of what I was holding inside came out. And it was really, really good for me. The truth is that I just continued to the base and we did what we were planning. Made a lot of soldiers happy. And on the way home, I said, hey, man, no, that was good. I'll drive back through that road. I drove there and nothing happened, of course. But I think that was a really important second for me to let everything out.
Wow, that's amazing, your story.
I also think that every single one of us, Zaka and Hatzalah, like every single one has his different way of continuing and different way of processing what he saw. It helps me also to speak about it. I feel that every time I go and speak, besides what it does to the other people, it also helps me. There's some people that can't talk about anything they saw till today. I think that each one has his different way of processing and going through this hard time.
Right. Well, I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing your story with us. It's crazy that we're having this conversation a year later, and God willing, there should be no more pain, no more calls, no more of any of that. But Avi, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and should dance by the base of Mikdash soon together.
Amen.
I'll come with the DJ.
Yeah, of course. Amen, amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All the best. Bye-bye.
We'll be right back to this episode in just a second. But first, a quick word from my friends at Touro University. You see their billboards all around New York, and you might be thinking, hey, how can I get on one of those billboards? Well, the first step is making sure that you're going and RSVPing to their in-person open house on Sunday, November 10th at 12:45 p.m. You got to go there. Nowadays, it's really not a hard sell at all. Touro is one of the only options for you. You don't want to be going to these other colleges that don't have your needs and have your values in mind. You get personal attention in all aspects from your professors, from your rabbeim, from people who understand what you value and what you need. You don't need to be going to university that looks at Israel as the enemy and has encampments. You're not finding any of that at Touro University. You have a choice of many majors in high demand fields like pre-dent, pre-med, political science, and more. So go ahead and RSVP today for their open house. Hit the link in the show notes of this episode and make sure to RSVP.
I'm sitting here with Elchanan Danino, the father of Ori Danino, Alav Shalom, and it's crazy to think that what happened to your family began a year ago. I think much of Am Yisrael watched that Levaya and they davened for Ori for so many days, and months. And I'm so happy that you're able to sit here and we're able to have this conversation. The first question I want to ask you is, Ori was held captive by Hamas for almost a year, and there was this hope and this emunah that you and your family were holding on to that Ori would come home. What was that faith like? What was that emunah like? Where did that come from, that you and your family were able to hold on to that idea?
I think the education from my parents that give me this emunah, and I think that when to grow up to be a good Jewish with a lot of emunah, the test it's not every day. The test it's when you in a difficult situation, like our family. And that's the chinuch what I give to my children also. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is between us every day and every moment. And also in the difficult, very moment that the last 11 months, it was very, very difficult for my children, also for me, also for Einav, the mother. But always, I know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu give us the koyach, the power for the day. To pass the day with emunah. And that's what I give for my children also.
That's really amazing. The Ori really was on the way out. He was going to make it home. And he turned around and to get more people. I remember when I spoke to you before, you had said that my car is empty. I want to get more people. I want to save more people. What that idea that Ori, I mean, you raised him to be that way. That's a decision that he made. You raised him like that, and now the ultimate sacrifice is he's not here. What thoughts come up for you?
I give the chinuch for Ori to be a man, to be a good man, and be a good Jewish. He's grown up very big to be a hero. I don't know this when he is a child, yeah, and when he's young, when he's shiva, when he's in the army. I don't know he's a hero, but inside in Ori, he's always told me, my big honor is to die for my country, for Eretz Yisrael. Because always told me that in every generation, shebechol dor vador, we have the heroes, the giborim shel Am Yisrael. And he's told me, לעבודה הולכים לעבוד. To work, go to work. But for the army, we're going to the war, למלחמה. ובמלחמה לא כולם חוזרים. In the world, not all coming back. That's always he told me. And I told him in Shabbos 2 years ago, and I asked him, Ori, I'm your father. You cannot tell me that. He's told me, Abba, תדע. אני הלכתי למשימה. I'm going to a mission. אם המשימה שלי למות, זה הכבוד שלי. If my mission is for die for my country, this is my honor.
Wow. That's unbelievable. That's an unbelievable thing to know about Ori. A hard question to ask, but I must ask it, is the moment that you and your family found out Ori was one of the hostages that was murdered. Can you take us through those moments in your home?
Yeah, this is a very difficult moment, but you feel that our family world is destroyed. But Baruch Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu give me the koyach to be strong and wake up immediately to be strong for my children. I have also Yitzchak, David, and Aaron, and Odaya. And always I think about they. How can continue to be strong and healthy for when Ori coming back? That's always in my head that I cannot broke up for my children, not for me, for my children, because it's heavy of me, the responsibility, the chinuch for my children, the strong for my children, and you cannot be break up. You must be strong for the children. And Baruch Hashem, the Kodesh Baruch Hu give me the koyach.
Yeah. I mean, finding out, I imagine it was someone from the army had told you guys what had happened. And for so long, you're holding on to a hope that he would come home, and all of a sudden, that hope is all gone. You had to change from hope to now mourning. How did you make that switch?
I remember the Motzi Shabbos, 12 minutes for 4 o'clock in the morning, coming 4 people from the army and told me. And when I saw him, I understand. Well, what do you want to give me a message? And after a few minutes, I wake up David. I wake up Aaron. And when we saw my face, they understand what's happened. It's a little shock for a few minutes. But from this minute, I told my children, we go to make Kiddush Hashem. Also, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu give the big gzera, big, it's very, very hard, the gzera. But all 11 months, when all family, we make Kiddush Hashem in 8 countries in the world, all community Jewish, we going to speak Emunah. And I tell my children, שלא ילך לשווא. Don't be, שלא ילך לשווא, כדי the Kiddush Hashem will be continue. All in the Levaya, we saw that all people, not from religion, not religion, all is coming to the Levaya, to the Shiva, to stay with us, and we say the chibur and the love for all community in Israel. Because Ori is grown up in Cheder, Ashkenaz, in Arnov, and is grown up to be a hero in Tzadchanim, in the army. And he's have friend all the years, all friend, Avrechim, Yeshiva Borchim, from, not from, all people is friends of Ori. And we saw that I told it to my children, this is the derech for Ori. This is the Kiddush Hashem, and we must be strong for that, for make Kiddush Hashem for Ori.
During the Levaya, which I was watching, obviously it was heartbreaking, and there was this moment, Elchanan Ben Ari, with your son, and I think in that moment it showed me that a lot of times we're thinking about the father and the mother, but in that moment, seeing your son singing with Hanan, I started thinking about the siblings that lost their brother, they lost their best friend, they lost their role model. That moment at the Levaya, what did it make you feel?
It was the difficult moment in my life when I saw my children in the Levaya. I prayed for the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and I told the Kodesh Baruch Hu, please, give my children the koyach to be strong, to be continued the life, and to make Kiddush Hashem. I grow up, I'm 50 years old, but for the children, for the young people, it's another chinuch. It's another way for the chinuch. And I feel that Elchanan Ben Ari, when he sung from his heart, and he's make a very emotional moment to Aaron and to Yitzchak and to David and to my daughter Odaya. It's difficult, but it makes us strong. This moment, and also we saw the 1,000 people around us in the Levaya, also in the Shiva. And I must to say thank you for the all people from Eretz Israel, from United States, from United Kingdom, from France, from Brazil, from Mexico, from Argentina, all the people give us for the last 11 months, give us a lot of koyach, a lot of shutfus, a lot of Tehillim, a lot of Torah for Ori and for our family. And I must be to say Toda Rabba.
Speaking of Shiva and all the people that came to see you, you know, was there something or a story that came up during Shiva that maybe you didn't know about Ori, or is there something that someone did for you by the Shiva that stands out to you as something extraordinary?
I don't know that Ori always, also in to my son, his brother, and also for in the friend of the army in the yeshiva.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have two words: Ani estader. Always is helped all people around them, and he is the last. And one time I asked him a few years ago. I asked him, "Why you do that?" He told me that, "Abba, לי יש את אפשרות, I can't. My friend, I don't know if he can't. I need to help him. First of all, my friend, my old friend. After, I see what about me." And all of stories from the yeshiva, from his friend from the yeshiva, his friend from the army. He's told us in the yeshiva what he make, a lot of chesed. A lot of chaverim is also always around them, because his smile always. They cannot find one picture of him of all life. We cannot find one picture without a smile. It's wonderful. It's amazing. I search in my house a lot of picture. I don't find one, and that's what his friend told me. This smile is Mekarev, the old friend from the yeshiva, from the army, all friend for him, because they smile. And one time I remember that I asked him, "Why you smile always?" He's told me, when you smile to another people when you don't know him. After, when you ask him, he's asking me is one question, it's another conversation. It's conversation with chibur, with love, not a normally conversation.
Right. Was there much that the IDF was able to tell you about Ori's last moments? We understand that he was on the ground, he was being held on the ground by Hamas. Was there anything that they told you about those last moments? You know, that he was alive?
And this tunnel is supposed to be the last 3 weeks. I know. I think about 21 after 7 October. I know that in the tunnel in Rafiach, it's not new for our family, and always we have information that is live. I know that his life 2 days before his murder. But the Kodesh Baruch Hu want to celebrate with him למעלה, not here. And אנחנו מקבלים את הדין באהבה, with love for the Kodesh Baruch Hu. I think that Ori is the mission is finished in 25 years. We don't have the schus. We need to be here 70 years or 90 years old. He have the schus to make Kiddush Hashem in 25 years. It's very difficult for me, for his mother, for the children, for his brother and his sister. But we know that every Jewish in the world have a shlichus. And Ori shlichus is to be להציל, to save Itai Regev and Maya Regev and Bezrat Hashem Omer Shem Tov when he's come back to save him. וכל המציל נפש אחת מישראל כאילו קיים עולם מלא. And Baruch Hashem and Maya and Itai is here. And Bezrat Hashem Omer Shem Tov is coming back Bezrat Hashem to his parents, to his family. And it's 3 words. 3 עולמות. Baruch Hashem.
Did you have the chance to speak to Maya and Itai, maybe their parents?
My children speak with him, talk with him. My Kodesh Baruch Hu give me the koyach. I don't need the koyach from someone. Baruch Hashem, Am Yisrael give me koyach, the Kodesh Baruch Hu give me koyach every morning. I say Moidani, and after Moidani, I make it tefillah for the Kodesh Baruch Hu, give me koyach for the day. For tomorrow, we'll be see. For today, to my children, give me the koyach, please give me the koyach. And Baruch Hashem, we have a koyach, we continue, Bezrat Hashem.
I want to ask you, the last question I want to ask you is, how you and your family are going on from here. It's this gaping hole, obviously, and what's a message? What's something you want Am Yisrael all around the world, in America and the UK and Argentina, to know about how the Daninos are doing and how they're going on?
We started a stabilization at home for young boys that's not find his way. The way was given to his parents, the ultra-Orthodox. And we have a lot of young boys in the streets. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we are in the building for Beit Noir, building for the young people, from the young boys, to give them the way. Be'ezrat Hashem will be good people, good yeshiva bochrim, good chayalim, to be a good people in Am Yisrael. Because Chanoch lanar al pi darko. Darko, it's the way from the children, not only the derech from his parents. We see here in Israel that a lot of parents leave the children out, and for me it's very painful for me. מאוד כואב לי, מאוד כואב לי, and I cannot see that and make nothing. Bezrat Hashem, my children also give me the koyach to building this. And always we have the tefillah for the Kodesh Baruch Hu, שיכוון ושייתן הצלחה בכל מעשי ידינו.
Amen. Amen. Elchanan Danino, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For sharing with us. And may we all be reunited soon, speedily in our days. B'mher v'meinu amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Before we get to this next segment, a quick word from my friends at Town Appliance. Yes, ever since 1979, they've been the #1 appliance store in our communities. So make sure when it comes time for you to get new appliances, whether that's a brand new set of appliances for your kitchen, whether you're replacing some of your old appliances, whether you're doing some new construction, Town Appliance is the go-to place. And guess what? They constantly are having sales. Head to townappliance.com. Right now might be the best time to say, hey, this is on sale, that's on sale. Let's go ahead and see what we can get. It doesn't necessarily mean it's out of your price range because it's a fridge, because it's a dishwasher. Town Appliance is always there for you. And you can message them on WhatsApp. Hit the link in the show notes of this episode, send them a message on WhatsApp, or head to their website. That is townappliance.com.
It is my honor to be joined by Captain Elkanah Cohen. Thank you so much for coming here today. We're recording this just a day after October 7th, 2024. Before we get into the events that took place a year ago, can you tell me, I guess, a little bit of background of your position in the IDF?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I drafted into the IDF 8 years ago. I went into Duvdevan unit, and for those who watched Fauda, the series on Netflix, this is the unit that I had the privilege to serve in.
Wow.
And I finished my training course, 1 year and 4 months of training course, and after that, I had short time as a combat soldier, but then I went out to do my officer's course, and I came back and I was officer and a team commander in my unit, which, by the way, I met there my wife. My wife also served in my unit. She was in the intelligence. Very amazing wife. And our job was to make sure that we don't have any terror attack inside Israel, most of them from Judea and Samaria. And our job was to go undercover into into those places and to arrest those people before they were able to do what they wanted to do from the first place.
And I guess, imagine that specifically like the West Bank and places within Israel. Is that including also the Gaza Strip, the Gaza envelope?
No, so we were only focused on the West Bank, not on the Gaza Strip.
So October 7th. In retrospect, it seems like a tremendous intelligence failure. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I see it as one of our biggest failure since the establishment of Israel. One of our first job to do is to defend our people, to defend our country. And that day, we couldn't do that. And so, yes, it was huge failure. Then till now, I'm always thinking how that happened to us. And in my perspective, as an observed Jewish, I'm always like pointed to God and ask him, like, I felt like he just made us blind that day.
Yeah.
Because everyone hear about an amazing intelligence that we had, and just a few weeks ago, the pagers attack and all of that. It seems like it's
how is it the same country?
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm only like hope that we were able to win this war. We're definitely going to win this war, but like the only question is what price we will pay for that.
Yeah.
And I really hope that we will be able to win that soon and to bring back our brother and sister that while we're talking, there are still 101 hostages that holding by the hand of Hamas. So I really pray for them to be here as soon as possible and to be able to celebrate with their family, their freedom.
God willing. And, it sounds like no matter what intelligence Israel had, this was going to happen. This is what Hashem decreed to happen. And it's, probably for us in this conversation, it's a futile point even to be talking about, because this is what Hashem wanted. And no matter if Gallant did this or if Netanyahu did that, it was happening. And whatever we're supposed to learn from it, we have to learn from it. I want you to tell me, if you could take me through that morning. I believe 6:30 a.m. Things began, but I heard that even 5:30 a.m. it began for you. Can you just take me through your experience on October 7th?
Yeah, so as you all know, it was Simchat Torah. It was a holiday for us. And I slept in my in-laws. And 5:30 in the morning, my wife woke me up. She was terrified. She told me that she had a nightmare, and in her nightmare, hundreds of terrorists were chasing us, and I couldn't use my gun in order to defend ourselves. I hugged her back, and I told her, Shiran, don't worry, nothing will happen. And we went back to sleep. But an hour later, I was waking up by the Iron Dome system that was activated from the missile that was shot at from us from Gaza. So that time, I understood that we are at war. Like, sometimes there is...
Yeah, there are missiles that are...
Yeah, but like in the center of Israel, in the middle of a holiday, it felt weird. And I told Shiran, all right, I'm running into my house. I want to open my phone and call my commander to see if what's going on. And when I'm saying that, I'm on reserve. I'm not on active duty. And my originally position on reserve, I'm in charge of the training, test, and draft into the commander, into the special units. Mm-hmm. So I'm not in combat position, but I knew that I can't stay in my old position, and I have to go and fight for my country. So I ran into my house. I opened my phone. I called my commander, and then he told me that something bad happening right now in the south. I prepared everything I could. I just finished that phone call, and I got another phone call of my friend who told me that my wife, Shiran, who used to serve with me in my unit, got called up as well. So
your friend called you to tell you that your wife got called up?
Yeah, because he couldn't reach her. Of course, her phone was just turned off. So at that point, we just packed our stuff and we rode away to the base.
Is that something that's rare for a husband and wife to be called up? Does the IDF try to avoid that?
I don't know if they're trying to avoid that or not. It's not common.
Right.
But I can tell you that I felt very proud. Like, also nervous because, we are just going out for a war to fight. But I also understood that me and my wife as a couple are going to defend our country. And it's like I was quite proud about that fact.
Yeah, and I imagine Shiran's parents must have been terrified
Yeah.
seeing their son-in-law and their daughter going in the middle of the Chag and going to fight.
Yeah, what actually happened there, I ran into, like I drove into the shul. This is where I planned to meet Shiran. And her mom saw me with the uniforms and she asked me, "Are you got called up?" I said, "Yeah, but not just me, your daughter as well." And she was just like,
Ma.
didn't know what to do. But I told her, "You have nothing to worry. Like everything will be fine. You can trust us." And then we drove to our base.
And you drove together to the base. So where was the base? I imagine the base is located down south?
No, so the base of our unit, it's on the Jerusalem area.
Okay.
I can give the precise location. But what I can tell you, when I arrived there, there was a guard in the beginning, on the entrance of the base, who told me that we can go back home. I said, like, what? They told me that there's already 180% of mobilization. They don't have any equipment anymore to give us. And for me, it just sounded weird that I won't fight because there is no enough equipment. But I remember that there is a place in Duvdevan, my unit, named Bet Duvdevan's house, which usually used for donors when we're bringing them in to show them what we're doing usually. You know, it's like all full of like...
after they watch Fauda, they come
Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah.
So I remembered that there is a doll dressed as a soldier and with the vest and uniforms. So I sneaked inside this place. I saw that I was right, that it's still there, even though it's been already 5 years since I used to be there. Undressed this little doll, took all of the equipment, and I was ready to go and fight.
Wow. And that's the equipment you use. You use the equipment of a
Yeah.
a life-size doll.
Yeah.
Was that equipment like up to code?
It was fine. Basically, the helmet wasn't good, but I didn't take that helmet. It was made of plastic side. But beside that, all the vest, the uniform, the tactical uniform, like it was good. Baruch Hashem, after a couple of weeks, we got a better equipment.
Yeah.
And I also want to say thank you, because that equipment that I'm talking, most of that we got donated from people from here, from the US. And I want to say thank you for all of those people who support us. You don't understand how much we appreciate it. And probably I'm going to share that soon. We had lots of miracles during our fights. And I felt, in my perspective, it wasn't just luck. It was your prayers. It was your hope that you always tried to pray for us. And we felt that during the fight and the combat. And I want to say thank you for each one of you who did that. It's for real. It's meant a lot to me. And after that I got that equipment, I got a phone call from my friend Yamini, who called me and told me that our team got called up. And when I'm saying my team, it's the team that I used to serve during my active service.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Bilo. It's a different base. And I fought under the 551 Brigade. It's a brigade for commander reserves. And when I went there, it was total chaos. One, they told us, get ready to the ground and maneuver in Gaza. Then a few minutes later, get ready to Iran, then to Lebanon. Like, we didn't knew what's going on. It was insane. And while there were some of the forces who fought on the kibbutzim around the Gaza Strip, we were just waiting to fight. And every time they changed our location, it was just, as I told you, totally chaos. But after 3 weeks of preparation, when we got announced that we are going into the Gaza Strip to fight.
And would this be the first time that you were going to be going into Gaza?
Yeah, I've been there on the border, but this will be the first time of me getting inside.
So before I guess that point, did you end up, going at all to any of the kibbutzim? Did you have any firsthand experience with what we know now are thousands of terrorists that infiltrated into Israel? Did you come face to face with any of that?
Yeah, so before we entered the Gaza Strip, we were crossing our kibbutzim and we saw the amount of destroyed houses there. It was just, when we came, it was already after, the police and the IDF already took almost everything that needed, and still it seems like
So it was a couple days later.
Yeah,
It was like October
but-
9th.
Yeah, but it was like, seems like their Holocaust was there. It's unbelievable.
So I interviewed Yossi Landau, which we featured on the part 1 of this episode. And he told me something that they're working very, very vigilantly on for part of Zaka is rebuilding the kibbutz Kfar Aza in Be'eri. And because they saw the destruction, they want to be part of the rebuilding of it. We know also from another interview we did that it took a couple of days to fight back to get Kfar Aza. What I didn't know until recently is that these terrorists intended not just to take life, they wanted to take land. They wanted to take over these kibbutzim and make it part of their land and to hold it from Israel. So it wasn't just, they came in and they ran out and they left. They intended on staying. So for days, there are terrorists in Israel. That's what it's.
Yeah.
So you're getting ready to go into Gaza. Is your wife also?
So my wife, she's part of my unit. She's in the intelligence. She wasn't needed to go into the Gaza Strip. She was in charge of, Baruch Hashem, 2 successful rescue of hostages.
Wow.
But she's on a different side of the mob.
She probably can't say much.
Yeah. If she was here, she wasn't allowed to talk so much.
Wow.
But I can tell you that when we entered Gaza, I went through some of their schools. And the reason why I'm sharing that, it's because I went through their notebook and through their books. Because every time when I enter a house in Gaza, I wanted to see, all right, I know that there is a lot of terrorists, but I want to see if there is any opportunity for peace. So I looked through their books and I saw that was map of Israel. And I was glad. I said, all right, maybe there is a chance to something here. But then I realized it wasn't a map of Israel, the same shape of Israel, but is the map of Palestine in their perspective. In their perspective, there is no place for Israel between the river to the sea. For them, it's only Palestine. And when you say, like, it wasn't new for me, like, it's the first time that someone telling me that they were trying to concrete and stay there during October 7th, but it's made sense. Like, it's making sense to me because this is what they want. They want to eliminate the state of Israel, to take every piece of land that we have, to kill as many Jews as they can.
Right.
So,
and further than even they wanted to kill any Jews in the world. This is they commit attacks all over the world, these Iranian proxies, So first of all, it's very interesting. You're going through these classrooms and is there anything else that you found that opened your eyes?
Yeah, several things. During the time of us fighting in Bet Hanun, one of the time we enter one of the houses that were needed to concrete, and we were already exhausted. And after making sure that there is no terrorists in the house, my friend just lay down on the couch and on the beds. They were exhausted. And I had one sentence that she told me before I entered the Gaza Strip. She told me, every time when you are exhausted, this is your time to be aware and to search and don't just let your tiredness to get over you. So I had this sentence in my mind and I said to myself, all right, I'll just keep searching. And I opened one of the cabins and I said, doctor's certificate. And all my friends told me, hey, Kuno, you just please chill out, sit on the ground, stop doing it.
Right. And
I said, no, I had the sentence and I felt that I have to do and keep searching. I opened the cabin and then I found an AK-47 magazine and then radios, walkie-talkies, a handband of Hamas. And I told my friends, all right, this is a terrorist house. Please, everybody rise up and let's move the bed. And when we moved the bed, we saw 2 missiles connected into electricity wires that was supposed to explode while we was there. It's tend to be a booby-trapped house. And of course, when we figured that out, we just left this place very quickly. And we just decided to explode this bomb because we didn't want other team to go inside and don't see it and somehow to explode inside this house. So we just put a little amount of TNT just to trigger the bomb. And after we explode that bomb, we came back to see that place and all of that place became into ashes. Nothing left there. 3 houses around this house also was just destroyed.
It was all rigged.
Yeah. And in that point, we understood that everything can changed by seconds. We had like a, peacefully time that we're laying down on the beds, resting a little bit, but everything changed in a second. So we saw that, but I want to share one story. It's not a story, something that we were witnessing to that I want the world to know. One of the time, we got an intel of a school that was full with terror infrastructure, and we knew that we have to conquer that school. But we also knew that that school was full with civilians. So as we always do, we start calling them all out, but no one left the area.
So this is like urban warfare. You're going through the Gaza Strip, and there are people there.
Yeah.
There are kids there, there are women there, and there are terrorists hiding within them. Okay.
So we used the drone in order to scan the area from above, because we didn't understand why those citizens don't leave the school. Then we saw that there is Hamas guards inside that school that do not let those civilians to leave that. But more than that, one of the kids there, I think he was 5 years old, tried to run away, and the Hamas guard shot him in his head and killed him in front of his mom.
This is something that you saw
through the drone. Yeah. And that point we understood that we have to kill those guards in order to let those civilians to leave the area. But then one of the Hamas guard went on the rooftop and he was holding a baby just in front of us. He knew exactly where we were. We were 200 meters away. I think it's around like 600 feet. He knew exactly where we were. And behind them was a guy that was holding a camera and just waited for us to take that shot. And we didn't take that shot out because we were afraid from that guy with the camera.
Because he's holding a baby.
Because we don't slaughter babies like they did on October 7. We're not harassing people. We are not like raping ladies like they did. So we decided not to take that shot. But later on, he went on the rooftop again. He was surrounded by a group of women. One of them banned a little bit, and it was enough for a sniper to take that shot and to kill that guy. And after that, we were managed to kill several guards inside that. And we were managed to conquer that school. But I'm sharing
you were able to get the civilians out?
Yeah.
Were those civilians at all appreciative?
It's also something that I want to mention.
Yeah.
Because while we're talking about those civilians, we did as much as we could in order to avoid any casualties. But I've been through their houses. I'm telling you, each one of their houses was full with ammunition, was full with rifles, bombs, RPGs. But more than that, I'm always said, even if I was in their perspective and I thought that I should fight Israel, all right, I would never imagine to put grenades under my baby beds. Like, I went there and I saw tons of bombs under children beds. Which father will do it to his own? Like, it could, it can explode by any seconds. Things like that happens. I just don't understand them. So, yeah, there are civilians. We call them civilians, but the majority of them supporting Hamas. We need to remember that Hamas was elected by the majority of the people who live in Gaza.
And we also know that a lot of these hostages were being held in civilian homes. They were being held, and when these hostages were brought into Gaza, they were beaten by so-called civilians.
Yeah,
I want to zoom you out for a second. You're in New York now for a little bit. I don't know if you were in Manhattan yesterday, but I'm sure you understand that where you are in New York, in America, most of America, the streets of our major cities are filled with people rallying and protesting for Hamas and for, the Palestinian resistance. As someone who's seen what you've seen, a 5-year-old being killed by a Hamas member because he was in a leave where they were trying to keep him. What would you say to that world?
Tell them they're just hypocrites. I think they don't know what's going on. And if they are knowing, so they just hate Israel, because we're trying to do our best. As I told you before, Hamas don't care about those people. He using his own people as human shield, while we as the IDF try to do as much as we can in order to avoid any casualties. The amount of time that I put my life on the line in order to make sure that we don't have any civilians who getting hurt, I know what I did.
Right.
So when I see those people who protest against us, it just make me anger. But I also know if they were inside the Gaza Strip, Hamas would kill them by seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can, I want you to, I'm not sure if we got it, but I want you to say again the story. You said that you were in the Gaza Strip and you're going to a school,
Yeah.
right? I want you to just describe what you've seen in the school in their textbooks, but also go on to talk about the baby and the 5-year-old.
Yeah. So this was 2 different schools,
Yeah.
but one of the time we enter one school in Bet Hanun, and I wanted to see, I always looked for a couple of signs. Of course, the first time that I always trying to look, it's signs for hostages. If there is someone who leave any sign that I can find that they can help me to understand where they are. But I also wanted to look for any signs of ability for a peace, because for me, I didn't understand why people so hate us. So I went through their books, and I opened one of their geographic books, and I saw there is maps of Israel inside, and I was glad. I said, all right, maybe they recognize the state of Israel. But then I understand this is not a map of Israel. This is a map of Palestine. Well, in their perspective, there is no place for Israel between the river to the sea. This is what they're saying, right? From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which is also funny. You ask me about the protest. I think they probably don't know which sea and which river, but they still shout it. Yeah. So, but in Hamas perspective, we don't have the right to exist. So I understood that. And I just
Was there a moment where you were able to see that Hamas was mistreating their own civilians while you were there in Gaza?
Yeah.
Because the world likes to talk about how Israel kills civilians, which, you've been there, and we know that Israel does everything to avoid civilian casualties. So yeah, was there a moment where you were there and you have firsthand testimony?
Yeah, so multiple time, but one of the, I think, most hard time was that we got an intel of a school that was full with terror infrastructure. And we knew that we have to conquer that school, but we also knew that school was full with civilians. So we start calling them all out, but no one left the area. So we didn't understand why. And we used a drone in order to scan the area from above to understand why they're not leaving. And then we saw that there is Hamas guards inside that school that didn't let those civilians to leave the area. But more than that, one of the kids there, 5 years old, tried to run away, and one of the Hamas guard shot him in his head and killed him in front of his mom. That point, we understood that we have to kill those guards. But one of them went on the rooftop and he was holding a baby. He knew exactly where we were. We were 200 meters away, and behind them was a guy that was holding a camera and just waited for us to take that shot. It seems like he wanted us to take that shot and to kill this little baby, just for him to have that video. But we didn't take that shot, not because we were afraid from that camera guy, but we don't shoot babies, simply as that. We don't kill babies like they did on October 7, and doing that right now while we're talking. But later on, the same guy ran off the rooftop again. He was surrounded by a group of women. One of them banged a little bit, and it was enough for our sniper to take that shot and to kill him. And after that, we were able to kill many terrorists inside that school and to conquer that school. So yeah, we saw that. We saw how they're using their own people as human shield. We saw how many times that they had terror tunnels under mosques, hospitals,
You saw
schools.
that. You saw that with your own eyes.
Yeah.
What's it like to move a crib or a carpet in a so-called civilian house and see an entrance to a tunnel?
It's unbelievable. Look, I'm a newlywed and expecting father.
Shatova.
Thank you very much. And as a future dad, I can't imagine myself putting bombs or tunnel entrance in my house, not even under my baby beds. Like, I don't understand how they're capable of doing that. So I think that just the hatred to us are much bigger than their love to their sons, to their family. So when I saw it, I just didn't understand how to react. Like, I don't have the opportunity to explain why they doing that. Like, in my perspective, this is not even make any sense, but apparently for them, it does.
Yeah. And what's unique about your perspective here is, how long did you spend in Gaza?
So in Gaza, we fought for 87 days, and then we were called for more, but on the Gaza Strip, 87 days, and then almost 2 months in the Lebanon border. But we were the first almost 4 months of fighting in the Gaza Strip. And
during those 3-4 months, you journaled your experience. You put it into this book, and you also wore a GoPro, and that footage, I imagine, is either out or it's coming out. Being there, I can't even imagine the fear that you were probably feeling at all times. However, you are a Jew. You're a God-fearing Jew. Was there a feeling of protection that you had while you were in Gaza?
Yeah, I felt God with us the entire time. And you asked, like you said, that that I feared a lot. For some reason, I didn't fear so much. Some of the time, yeah, but I have a great team. I felt that as long as we are all together, we can encourage each other, and we were filled with hope. And I always says it's because the difference between us and our enemy, we are fight out of love to our people that we left behind, and out of our love to the people that are trying to rescue the hostages that I'm always mentioning. 101 of them are still holding captivity, while our enemies fighting out of hatred. So yeah, I felt God was with us. We had lots of miracle, and I told you the story when we left the garage. We were 120 soldiers inside that, and when we left the garage, it's all exploded 1 minute after we were inside. And if it was happened 1 minute earlier, I wasn't able to talk with you today. So yes, I felt God was with us. I'm also a Cohen, so I felt like the bracha is always with me, and Baruch Hashem, I'm here to share our stories. So.
Yeah. In this book, in this journal, is there any story that you want to say here today on this podcast that specifically stands out, that you want to share?
I think that my journal, it's not just one story. I decided to write it after I couldn't communicate with my wife. She had a classified phone, and once in a while I also got the opportunity to talk to her because she was, as I told you before, part of my unit. So
which is the reason why she's not here right now talking.
Yeah.
Because
yeah. But most of the time I couldn't communicate. So one of my friends suggested me to write a letter to her. And during that time of writing a letter, I understood that we are witnessing to something that the entire world should understand and see and be aware. And from that day on, I decided to document as much as I can. So I'm not only documented, the combat and fighting against terrorists, which of course you can see here multiple times, but I also documented our feelings, our thoughts, what was it like, and to allow the reader to get into soldier boots during that fight, to get into our sweat uniforms and understand what is really mean to fight, because people think it's probably 24/7 of fighting, which is not. Some of the time we play chess. one of the time, like, sometimes we just baked or cooked meals or lighting a candle and thinking on the same time about our families. It's much more than just fighting. It's the perspective of how do we felt through that time and the emotion that we had. And I didn't, when I wrote this journal at the beginning, I didn't thought it will become a book. And I kept that because I told myself, I want that one day my grandson will be able to read that and will say, all right, this is what my grandfather did. But when I left the Gaza Strip, I posted on Facebook. I said, hi, I'm an officer in the commando. I just wrote a journal every day. And if there is any publisher that would like to help me with that. And then I found an amazing publisher in Israel. They are called Sela Meir. And they were willing to publish my book. And after the book were being published, it was amazing how many people found themselves inside of that book. It wasn't just me. I felt like at the beginning, I felt it's my story, but it is not only my story, but a story of my unit. And more than that, the story of our people, of our nation. Lots of people called me and told me that they found themselves inside that. But more than that, Benjamin Netanyahu was quoting from that book. He told that he's seeing that book represent the spirits of the Jewish officer, the commander officer who fight for the real victory. And then Naftali Bennett was quoting from that book, and I saw that a lot of people got touched by that book. And for me, I felt that right now it's not only my story, but the story of all of our nation.
For the Jewish world that's listening and watching, we're all different types and stripes. We have Chilonim, there's Charedim, there's some more from, less from. I imagine you share the belief that, perhaps a reason like something like this can even happen is the division. What was happening before October 7th in the streets of Tel Aviv and Yerushalayim, we know how crazy it was and how divisive our culture was. What would you say about that to the Jews that are listening around the world?
I'm totally agree with you. I think that on October 7, our enemy saw and figured that we were divided. And this is why I want to read the last sentence from my book, which I think explained better than anything what I felt at that time. After we left the Gaza Strip, we felt that we have a new mission. And now there is a new mission, not a mission announced by Nachman, but a mission that each one of us feel deep in our bonds, unity among the people. This is what we felt. We felt that in order to make sure that nothing like that will ever happen again, we have to be united. We have to understand, even though we have different perspective, different beliefs, we have to understand that we need to be one strong fist. And I really hope that we will be able to bring soon our brothers and sisters back. But in order to make sure that all of the soldiers who fall and the people who died through this war, their high pay that the high price that they paid won't be for nothing. It's for us to understand that we have to be united. We have to live together and understand that we're just one nation. This is who we are, and otherwise it will be for nothing.
And we don't want that to happen.
No, and we want to let it to happen.
Yeah. Well, Elkanah Cohen, thank you so much for sharing your story. Obviously, people should buy this book and read this book. I saw recently that Donald Trump got his hands on this book. Yeah. And then he signed this book. Yeah. Which is amazing. That is incredible. But, this year, Simchas Torah, we're almost there. This is going to be airing, Motzei Simchas Torah. But what do you think the feeling should be in the Jewish world on Simchas Torah 1 year later?
Combines feeling between grief and hope. We can't even imagine just 80 years ago, we've been through a Holocaust. And now see how the Jewish nation is thriving and we build an amazing state. 6 million people died that time. And we were able to rise from that. So I have lots of hope in our nation. 100% we will get over that. As we used to say, we get over para, so we will be able to get over everything. So I have great hope in our nation. I just hope that we will be able to celebrate this Simchat Torah with our loved one that hold in captivity at the Gaza, and we will be able to win all of our enemies, and because the world will be a better place without them. And yeah, grief and hope.
Yeah. And Mashiach.
Yeah.
God willing.
God willing.
Bekar Mamash.
Yeah. I want to dedicate this interview
Sure.
to my friends who I lost. Of course, we lost a lot of people, but I lost 26 friends during that time, during the past year. And I want to read their names.
Sure.
So I'm dedicating this interview to Avi Buzaglo, Ben Borenstein, Mai Naim, Gaia Khalifa, Yotam Ben Basat, Aryeh Tsiring, Omri Michaeli, Roy Levi, Eliad Ochayon, Yehuda Cohen, Moshe Leiter, Sergei Shmerkin, Matan Meir, Yosef Hershkovitz, Yedidia Asher Lev, Eyal Meir Berkovich, Gal Meir Eisenkot, Tzvika Lavi, Eitan Nae, Liav Alush, Daniel Ben Arush, Moaz Feinstein, Shauli Greenlick, Shai Shamriz, Dvir Fima, Dain Wandeinbaum, Veitai Saif. I really hope that we understand that those people, as I said before, didn't pay this high price for nothing, and that we have to be together, united.
Kind of thank you so much. And this should be, all the work you're doing should be an aliyah for their neshamas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening or watching this episode of the podcast. We'll be back with another episode coming your way next week. An incredible episode. Trust me, I can't wait to bring it to you. Yes, Stories of Hope, back with a new episode this Sunday night. So make sure you search Stories of Hope on Apple, Spotify. You subscribe to that. And a big welcome to our, I don't know what it's been, 20,000 more YouTube subscribers. Hello, everybody. We're at 275 of this recording, 275,000 subscribers. It's so nice to see all of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I hope we can provide you with amazing, meaningful content.